Hey, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy Jordan Cameron back with another video today on this Monday. And today we're going to once again just talk about our thesis of the biggest blow off top in crypto history, followed by the biggest rug pull in crypto history, which I think will happen in the next 6 months. If you're new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Only 20% of you guys are subscribed. Let's get to 100K by the end of August. Can we do it? Might be tough, but we're going to do it. Anyways, for anyone who's new to the channel, right, what we're looking at on this channel for the past, since March, April, is we're looking at total market cap, making the biggest blow off top up to the 10 trillion market cap, which to put in perspective right now, we're at 3.87 trillion. Before we get the biggest rug pull down to about, I don't have a exact area of the rug pull level yet. All right, we'll talk about that as 2026 and 2027 come along. But we are looking for that blow off top up to 10 trillion. Now, as we kind of jump into this, we did talk about in the last video how Ethereum was hitting, right, 4,800, which is its previous all-time high. And it might have been a pretty logical level for people to start to take profits and to see the market come down a little bit, which would be nothing to be shamed about, right? And that would not change really anything in our thesis of, once again, seeing total market cap get absolutely blasted off up to the 10 trillion level and seeing our altcoin market, right, which is the total 3ES chart over here, getting a blow off top up to the 2618 and 3618 Fibonacci. And today, once again, we're going to go over, right, why this little short-term pullback does not change anything, just like, all these little short-term pullbacks, just like the one that we saw over here back in May, and just the one we saw over here back in July, did not mean anything, and why we're still thinking that the market's going to continue up and up and to the right? So obviously right now, guys, for anyone who's new to the channel, this comes to no surprise. I've been talking about the same thing since March and April, and a lot of the videos are repetitive and a lot of videos are talking about the same things, but in reality, nothing's really changed since March and April, right? We've seen the total market cap rise from 2.3 trillion to 4 trillion, almost double in that time frame, when many people thought that was a dumb narrative that the market would go up because of tariffs, because Donald Trump sucks, all this stuff. We saw the total market cap of crypto double in that time frame, and I think once again we're going to see the total market cap double or triple here by the end of 2025, and I'll go over why, right? And many people will not expect it, and as soon as everyone expects it, right, everyone will say crypto will change the world, and just like in 2021 when everyone believes that the market's going to go higher, right, it's typically when it tops, right? But right now we are still climbing the wall of worry, and everything is going according to plan, and we're going to talk about why in today's video, right? So just to kind of go over a few things. Once again, like we said, Ethereum was hitting that 4,800 previous all-time high level. It was a logical level for people to take profits, right? And we're seeing a little bit of a dip, right? Just like we saw a little bit of a dip when we hit 4,000, when we hit these previous highs. Once again, we had a red week and then we shot higher, right? Just like we saw a dip when we hit these previous support levels, flip into resistance, right? We saw a couple weeks of red and then we pushed higher. And what I'm expecting here, once again, and Ethereum is the biggest altcoin, and I think we're going to go over why I think Ethereum breaking into all-time highs is going to be the trigger to see the rest of the altcoin market start to push into new all-time highs, and we'll talk about that in a bit, right? But once again, logical level people to take profits as we hit 4,800. We're seeing a red week, right? People are spooked again. It's the same thing over and over again, but ultimately this does not change the fact that once we reclaimed this previous support as was resistance, and we flipped back up, right? This is a big false breakdown here. We're expecting ETH to break into new all-time highs, and that is going to be one of the main drivers of getting this total market cap chart up to that 10 trillion, top of our rising wedge, which is a bearish pattern, by the way, and that 10, with a 10 trillion 4236 Fibonacci level up at 10 trillion, right? So that does not change anything. What we're looking for still is Ethereum to smash into new all-time highs. And I think that is going to be the trigger once Ethereum breaks into the new all-time highs, which, once again, could take a few weeks. We got to have patience here. Patience has been the virtue for the past 4 months. If you had patience, you've made a lot of money, right? So Ethereum breaking into new all-time highs is going to be the trigger over here for the altcoin market, which has its own rising wedge, which has its own 2618 and 3618 Fibonacci targets, just like the previous cycle, which correlate with the top, or which correlate with the Q4, which we've seen every cycle top during that, October, November, December period. which would be right in that 2618, 3618 pocket, right? Obviously, ETH breaking into new all-time highs is, I think, what would set total 3 ES, which is the crypto total market cap, excluding Bitcoin, ETH, and stablecoins. So basically all your favorite altcoins, right? Which would set that into new all-time highs, right? Just as you've seen when Bitcoin breaks into new all-time highs, right, and starts to push higher, is typically when you finally get your Ethereum season, which many people did not think we were going to have this time. And of course, once again, as many people think we're not going to have an ETH season, and we have an ETH season, right? And just like many people think we're not going to have an altcoin season, guess what? And we're going to have an altcoin season. When ETH breaks into new all-time highs, that's when you're going to see your favorite altcoins start to push up to the 2618 and 3618 Fibonacci, and you're going to be singing Kumbaya along with all of us. Now, this is all correlated. We're going to go over why this is all correlated, right? Right now, like we said, we could see a little bit of a short-term pullback. If you look at ETH Bitcoin, it's very similar to the ETH USD chart, which right here we struggled for like 4 to 6 weeks right here at resistance, right, before we could break back above that trend line, right? And that was really the trigger for ETH to start to go nuts. Now we have ETH Bitcoin, which we have these previous supports from 2016 cycle, the 2019 cycle, right? And right here in 2024, we're now at that resistance, right? So just as the ETH Bitcoin pair struggled here for a few weeks, did not mean the top was in on ETH USD as it pushed higher and finally broke out. But we could stall here on ETH Bitcoin for a few weeks, which may mean that ETH and the altcoin market maybe struggle for a few weeks. Maybe Bitcoin takes the reins for a few weeks again. That would be fine. But ultimately, just like ETH USD had this little pullback and breakout, I would expect ETH Bitcoin to have this little pullback and breakout, right? And that would really set the altcoin market on fire, as we've already seen, right? As we've already seen a lot of our favorite altcoins over here, XRP, pushing to new highs. We have Chainlink blasting off now, starting to get close to its cycle highs. We got CRV pushing up, getting close to its cycle highs. We got Crow pushing up, getting close to its cycle highs. All our favorite coins pushing up. And I think this is just getting started. And really the real fun in this market is going to be when ETH can break into those new all-time highs, which I do admit could take a few weeks. That's fine. I personally think it's going to be happening sooner than a few weeks, but it could take a few weeks. Now, why are we still confident the market's going to go up, right? Because you're going to hear a lot of talk of, the top is in, the top is in. Guys, we're going to go over this again, but just as we discussed on every single video, I will not believe the top is in until we get our stablecoin dominance chart down to at least this 5% level. And you guys can see right now we're at 6%, right? So we still have a whole percentage, or about 20% to drop on the USDT and USDC pair, right? Until we get to that 5% level. So until we see our stablecoin dominance chart, which we do believe is in a giant wake-off accumulation schematic, which is 3 hits to the low, and then a giant breakout, which, once again, this move down on stablecoin dominance is inversely correlated to the total market cap chart. So this move down on stablecoin dominance, once again, is what is going to be this move up on total market cap. And then, once again, I'm not a permabull. I do think this market is going to crash again, just like every bear market. This move up, which is one giant wake-off accumulation schematic playing out, would be this big move down on total market cap. But ultimately, until we see that low, right, either a fresh new low or an equal third low, right, I do believe that the crypto market is going to continue higher. And anyone who says not, I don't think is following charts. They're just going off their feelings. So I do think that is going to get down at least back to the range lows. And the closer we get to those range lows, the more bearish that we're going to have to get. But as of right now, right, we still have plenty of room to run, so about 20% on USDT, USDC dominance, which is a big, big, big move. Now, as we kind of go along here, right, and we discuss, okay, if this moves down, total market cap's going to move up, that's great. As we kind of move along here, I do want to discuss a little bit of timing, because as I go over here to the stablecoin, to our global liquidity chart, I once again do want to discuss the fact that We do have a global liquidity local top, right? And this is a global liquidity with a 2 or 3 month lag on Bitcoin. We do have a global liquidity local top somewhere in the middle of September to the end of September. And I just want to make that clear is this chart has pretty much been foolproof since 2023, and I'm going to keep riding it until it's not foolproof. Okay, so we do have a possible local top on the crypto market between the middle to end of September. Now, what happens between then? Well, if we're just going based off our global liquidity chart, I would be expecting Bitcoin to continue to rise for the next month. Okay, and as we discussed, if we're going to expect Bitcoin to continue to rise, which once again, you guys can see every single time Bitcoin lags a little bit behind this, it eventually catches up in a big way. I'm expecting Bitcoin to catch up this global liquidity chart in a big way, right? Catch up to that global liquidity chart, and that Bitcoin catch up, right? Obviously will push total market cap into price discovery. You guys can see that total market cap's already in price discovery, but just continue to push it into price discovery. And that may be the reason why ETH Bitcoin struggles a little bit with this level for a few weeks. Okay, Bitcoin gets its run up, catches the global liquidity, right? ETH Bitcoin pulls back, right? And then once Bitcoin hits its local top, right, or somewhere close to its local top, that's when you see ETH Bitcoin once again go for the move and the breakout, just as it did on its USD pair. Okay, so I think this is all correlated. I think this is all going to plan. We got lower to go on our USDT dominance chart. We got higher to go on our global liquidity chart, and we have about a month to a month and a half of when we expect a somewhat of a local top on the crypto market. Maybe not a cycle top, but at least a local top on the crypto market somewhere in the middle to end of September. Okay, based on timing. So, as we kind of go along here, I think right now, once again, it's just a patience time. It's having patience, letting your coins breathe, letting your coins do their thing, and letting a possible maybe a little bit deeper ETH pull back to 4K, maybe a little deeper Bitcoin pull back to retest these highs at maybe 111K, right? It might come, and that's why I say, if you're just following the cycles, don't freak out when it does. Okay, this does not change the high time frame view. My high time frame view is that Bitcoin has much higher to go here. Okay, but the altcoin market ultimately is the bigger gainer for the rest of this cycle. I think ETH has much higher to go, and I think your favorite altcoins have a lot higher to go to their Fibonacci extensions or even just Fibonacci retracements, which still would be bigger gainers than Bitcoin. I think we have a lot of fun left to go on this market, and it's that patience market. But as I continue to discuss, guys, okay, well, one more thing before we kind of go with that, okay, we go over to our Coinbase indicator, which is our Coinbase apps. You guys can see, once again, Coinbase app, 307. Nowhere near euphoria in this market. I will not be even a slightly worried with 1 ounce of worriness until I see the Coinbase app close to the top 10. And as you guys can see right now, it is at 307, nowhere close to the top 10. It reached, and this little local top, it reached, looks like about 71, nowhere close to the top 10. Until I see Coinbase even close to the top 10, which could correlate with a local top on crypto, I am not in one bit slightly worried that crypto has topped in the short term, even in the short term, right? Never mind the cycle top. So once again, I do expect Bitcoin to push higher. I do expect Ethereum to push higher. I do expect your favorite altcoins to push higher. It's that little patience period where we're getting total market cap back testing the all-time highs. We're getting Ethereum getting a little bit of a pullback as it hits its previous all-time high. We're getting Bitcoin with a little bit of a cool-off period since they moved from 70K, okay? A little bit of a cool-off period, a little bit of shakeout period. Once again, I think all these things are going higher. Total market cap, I still believe, is going to 10 trillion. You will not believe it until it's there. And once you believe it, it's going to be too late. Your uncle, your aunt, your cousin, they're going to be asking about it. They're going to be jumping up and down and for joy during Thanksgiving, in my personal opinion. But you're going to have to talk them down, or don't talk them down, whatever you want to do. You can sell on their heads too. I don't care what you want to do. As then we prepare for what I think is going to be absolute crypto winter, and the biggest crypto winter that we've ever seen, where most projects will go to zero, except the strong ones, Bitcoin, ETH, XRP, Chainlink. I think everything else is pretty much going to go to zero during this extreme bear market that I think we're going to see in 2026 and 2027. Okay, but we'll talk about that in a later date. Still think a lot of fun is coming. Hold in there, guys. You really don't need to hold in there, right? If you go to some of these weekly charts, it's pretty much been up only for ETH. It's pretty much been up only for Bitcoin. It's pretty much been up only for XRP, Chainlink, CRV, Crow. It's pretty much up only since March and April. Really hasn't had to take too much hanging on. But as we kind of go along here, just remember the higher that we go, disbelief is going to dissipate. You guys can see on every little pullback, there's more and more disbelief, which still means that we're in the disbelief phase. Once you start really pushing up here, once again, everyone's going to start believing. The more people that start believe, just make sure you guys are taking profits on the way up. Taking profits is the name of the game. If you made a lot of money on any coin, right, you probably should have taken a little bit of profit out already. Enjoy life a little bit. But once again, I'm going to be constantly reminding you guys, as this market gets more and more euphoric, I'm going to get more and more hate in the comments section when I say that I'm going to be taking profits, right? I guarantee you right now, I make this video, people think I'm stupid for saying it's going to go to 10 trillion. Okay, when we're at 5, 6, 7 trillion, and I say, guys, we're getting close to the top. We probably only have like 20-30% left to go. I'm going to be called stupid because I'm going to be telling people to be selling their stuff, taking profits on their stuff, and it's going to be called stupid because I'm telling them the opposite of what they want to hear. Okay, so that's really it for today, guys. Right? Patience during this time. I still think we maybe could get a little bit more downside on ETH, Bitcoin, but that doesn't really change the high time frame view where I actually think all these things are going higher ultimately. Okay, right? People are going to take profits on the way up. Not a big deal. But anyways, catch you guys in the next update video. I'll probably do a video tomorrow or Wednesday if we get some type of price action. Right? Maybe we just chop for a few days, whatever, but I'll make a video either tomorrow or Wednesday with another update. Maybe either an individual coin video. I think Chainlink looks primed to catch up to the rest of the majors. But anyways, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you guys smack that subscribe button. You guys are the absolute studs to get to 100K by the end of the year. It's been your boy Jordan. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.